$285 billion. That's how much money disappeared from software company stocks in a single day. February 3rd, 2026. Atlassian dropped 35% in 1 week. Intuit dropped 34% in a single quarter. SAP lost $130 billion from its all-time high. And the trigger wasn't a recession. It wasn't a scandal. It was a product launch. Anthropic released plugins for Claude Cowork. And so Wall Street looked at what those plugins could do and said, wait, if AI can now do the work that people pay $50 a month per seat for, why does anyone need the seat? I build AI products for a living. I run multiple AI companies, and I'm going to show you exactly why this is happening, show you the real examples of people replacing software they used to pay hundreds of dollars a month for, show you where the ceiling is, and tell you when you should absolutely not do this. So let me explain what's actually happening, because there's a ton of noise around this topic, and most of it misses the real story. For 20 years, software companies have made money the same way. You charge per seat. 10 employees using Salesforce means 10 licenses at $80 a month. That's $800 a month, or $9,600 a year, and it compounds across every tool in the stack. And most employees use a fraction of the features in each one. What changed is that AI agents can now do the work that those tools were designed to support, right? Claude Cowork can review contracts. It can analyze sales data. It can generate reports. It can execute multi-step tasks across multiple applications. And so one AI agent can do the work that previously required 5 employees, each paying for their own license to 5 different tools. So even if you don't replace the software, you replace the seats. Jason Lemkin, the founder of SaaSter, one of the most respected voices in the SaaS industry, pointed this out explicitly. He said AI agents reduce the number of human seats a company needs. And since SaaS pricing is per seat, AI disrupts SaaS revenue even without replacing the software itself. A team that shrinks from 50 to 20 people because AI handles research, scheduling, and reporting also cuts its Salesforce bill from 50 seats to 20. Jefferies, the investment bank, published an analysis in February estimating that up to $285 billion of global SaaS market value is exposed to AI-driven disruption. That's not a prediction about the future. That's a calculation about what's already vulnerable based on current AI capabilities. And so then there's this second thing that happened. People started building their own tools, not just developers, non-technical founders, marketers, operations people, finance people, a term that Andrej Karpathy coined in February 2025 called vibe coding went from a meme to a full movement. Collins English Dictionary named it Word of the Year for 2025. The idea is simple. You describe what you want in plain English and AI writes the code. You don't even need to understand the code. You just need to know what problem you're solving. And the tools got strong enough that real things started getting built. Not just demos, not some toys, real products serving real users. And so let me show you what's actually happening on the ground. Not theory, not some speculation, actual people building actual things. A non-technical founder named Michael Batko started using Claude Code in the first week of February 2026. By March, 5 weeks later, he had built a full production platform from scratch. Interactive tools, AI-powered features, a review system, authentication with magic links, SEO optimization, mobile response, a blog engine that publishes daily. In his own words, I haven't touched a line of code, not one. He described what he wanted, Claude Code built it. He reviewed the output and iterated. The whole platform is live and serving real users. A guy named Steve Glaveski built a working SaaS product in 4 hours for about $20. He used Claude Code, GitHub, and Versal. The total ongoing cost is about $30 a month in tooling. He built a sponsorship discovery tool for local sports clubs, a Again, not a demo, a working product that people sign into and use. He said, "I'm not technical. I didn't write clever algorithms. A developer built an entire SaaS application called Onboarding Hub. On the busiest day, February 3rd, there were 71 commits. The AI did 95% or more of the coding autonomously. The developer used a Claude.md file as what he called an agent operating manual. He defined the architecture, the conventions, the testing requirements, and Claude followed the manual and built the product." And here's one that really captures the shift. Christoph Jans is a VC at Point 9, one of the most well-known early stage funds in Europe. He vibe coded a knowledge hub for his firm, 43,800 lines of Python, 6 data source connectors, a vector database, MCP servers, the whole thing. And then he realized he could get 90 to 95% of the value by just connecting his data sources directly to Claude. So he replaced his own vibe coded tool with an even simpler setup. His key insight was that 10% of the maintenance effort matters a lot. The thing that killed his first version wasn't the build, it was keeping it running. And so the math on this is straightforward. If you're paying $500 a month across 10 SaaS tools, and you can replace 3 or 4 of them with something you build yourself in a weekend using a $20 Cloud Pro subscription, you just saved $200 a month. That's $2,400 a year. And the tool you built does exactly what you need because you described exactly what you need. No extra features you're paying for and not using. No interface designed for 1,000 different use cases when you only have one. If this is valuable to you, I'm posting a new video every single day breaking down what's actually happening in AI. Just data, sources, and frameworks you can actually use. And by the way, if you're actually building software with AI, I built a tool called UI Punch that generates beautiful UI code. So instead of AI hallucinating a generic layout, it references what actual ship products look like. Link is in the description, and please hit subscribe. Now here's where I need to be honest with you, because the hype around vibe coding is getting ahead of the reality in some very specific and important ways. And if I don't tell you where the ceiling is, I'm doing you a complete disservice. In July 2025, a research organization called METR ran what is probably the most rigorous study ever done on AI coding productivity. They recruited 16 experienced open source developers. These are people who had been working on their own repositories for an average of 5 years with over 1,000 commits each. The code bases averaged over 1 million lines of code. They ran a randomized controlled trial. Each developer got tasks randomly assigned to either allow or disallow AI tools. They primarily used Cursor Pro with Sonnet 3.5 and 3.7 Sonnet, which were frontier models at the time. Before starting, the developers predicted AI would make them 24% faster. After finishing, they believed AI had made them 20% faster. The actual measured result, they were 19% slower, right? Not faster, slower. The developers accepted less than 44% of the code AI generated. They spent significant time reviewing, testing, and modifying AI output only to reject it. The researchers put it plainly, when people report that AI has accelerated their work, they might be wrong. Now, this matters, but context matters too, right? METR acknowledged this was a snapshot of early 2025 capabilities on very mature, very large code bases where the developers already had deep expertise. These are not the conditions where most people are using vibe coding to replace SaaS. In February 2026, METR published an update. For the developers who returned from the original study using newer tools, the estimate flipped to an 18% speed up, but they also found severe selection effects. Developers who benefit most from AI were refusing to participate in the no AI condition because they didn't want to work without it. So the study is getting harder to run, which is itself a signal. A developer named Mike Judge at the consultancy Substantial read the METR study and decided to test himself. For 6 weeks, he flipped a coin before each task to decide whether to use AI or code manually. He'd estimated about a 25% speed up from AI. His actual measured result, 21% 50% slower, mirroring METR almost exactly. Then he went and analyzed all the publicly available data on software output, new apps, website registrations, video games, GitHub projects, and he found flat lines everywhere. His question, shouldn't this be going up and to the right? Where's the hockey stick? And then there's code quality. CodeRabbit analyzed 470 open source GitHub pull requests in December 2025 and found that AI co-authored code contained 1.7 times more major issues compared to human written code. Security vulnerabilities were 2.74 times higher. Misconfigurations were 75% more common. Google's own Dora report, based on over 39,000 professionals, found that every 25% increase in AI adoption correlated with a 1.5% dip in delivery speed and a 7.2% drop in system stability. And the SaaSer founder, who is one of the biggest cheerleaders for the SaaS model, documented his own experience where Replit's AI agent deleted a database despite explicit instructions not to make any changes. Fast Company reported in September 2025 that the vibe coding hangover is real, with senior engineers describing development hell when working with AI generated code that nobody fully understands. And then there's something nobody talks about that I think is the most important thing: skill atrophy. An engineer named Luciano Lucha Noyen at a gaming infrastructure company called Companion Group used AI tools heavily at his day job where they were provided for free. Then he started a side project without access to those tools, and he found himself struggling with tasks that used to be instinct. His words, "I was feeling so stupid because things that used to be instinct became manual, sometimes even cumbersome. If you stop practicing the fundamentals because AI handles them, you lose the ability to evaluate whether the AI is giving you something good or something broken." And so here's the framework, because the answer is not build everything yourself, and the answer is not keep paying for everything, right? The answer is knowing which is which. Build when the tool is simple and specific to you. Internal dashboards, custom reports, data pipelines, automation scripts, personal productivity tools, research assistants, content pipelines, things where you know exactly what the output should look like and you can verify it yourself. A non-technical founder built a full production platform in 5 weeks. A guy building a SaaS in 4 hours for $20. If the task is bounded and the stakes are low, build it. Buy when the stakes are high and the requirements are complex. Anything involving compliance, HIPAA, SOC 2, GDPR, anything where downtime costs real money, anything where dozens of people need to collaborate in the same system, anything that requires deep integrations with other enterprise tools, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Workday, HubSpot, these aren't going anywhere in the short term for large organizations. They exist because they've solved problems over decades that a vibe-coded tool built in a weekend has not been tested against. And here's the nuance that most people miss. Even when you keep the SaaS tool, you might not need as many seats, right? That's the Lemkin insight. AI doesn't have to replace the software. It just has to replace the humans using the software. And that's already happening. Rakuten reportedly deployed Claude agent teams managing tasks equivalent to 50 engineers across code repositories. If 50 engineers become 10 engineers plus AI, that's 40 seats gone from every tool those engineers used. And so the real framework is 3 questions. First, can I describe exactly what the tool needs to do in one paragraph? If yes, build it. Second, does this tool need to survive me getting hit by a bus? Meaning, does someone else need to maintain it, understand it, update it, and keep it compliant? If yes, buy it. And third, am I paying for seats that AI could replace even if I keep the software? If yes, cut the seats.